Hello guys, I'm Leah. I'll be your storyteller today. This is something that happened to me, and I thought the story would be a little entertaining for you. Trust me though, it wasn't entertaining to me when I lived through it. Oh well, at least now I have a story to tell you guys. So it all started when I announced my wedding to my husband, Zyla. His mom, Janet, and his sister, Haley, have always been nice to me. However, I did notice that Janet was a big attention seeker. She always tried to make others small in front of her, and stayed in the limelight by putting other people down. I always had an issue with this, but never commented. We weren't very close anyway. I'd always thought that she somehow considered me a competition. I don't know for what reason. I ignored her attempts at seeking attention because they were rarely directed towards me. However, things got bad when we announced our wedding. Janet tried to take over everything we planned. She even went behind our back and tried to change our venue, flowers, and menu because she wanted us to do what she wanted. She was making the whole wedding about her. We had multiple fights about this, and it was exhausting. Many times we had considered uninviting her from the wedding, but Haley always advocated for her mother and begged us not to do it. It was downright annoying that Haley was supporting her mother. She always talked about how it was their mother after all, and we shouldn't kick her out of the wedding for something so insignificant. But Janet didn't stop at something insignificant. I should have seen the signs when she had told me, "You need to return your wedding dress, Leah." What? Why would I do that? I don't understand. I never talked to you about your wedding dress, because I hadn't expected you to go buy such an expensive dress to outshine me. I was seriously taken aback by what she was saying. First of all, Janet's dress was actually wildly inappropriate for a wedding. No, it wasn't white, but it was a wedding dress in champagne color. It was all poofy and beaded. If it was someone else in my place, they would have minded the dress. But I didn't mind the dress because my dress was more extravagant than that. I had worked hard to save up a good amount to buy that wedding dress. You could say that my wedding dress was one of my dream dresses. I had a feeling Janet hadn't liked the dress when I had showed it to her, but I really hadn't imagined that she hated the dress because she didn't want me to outshine her. I was in disbelief and said, "What are you talking about, Janet? This is my dream wedding dress. It's my wedding, so it's natural I will be the one outshining everyone." "Oh no, no, no. I am the mother of the groom, and I won't let you outshine me. I am not some spineless mother-in-law you can ignore. I am the diva, and no one can ever overshadow me. Besides, this is the only wedding of my child, and I will attend, since Haley won't get married. Don't make me say this again, Leah. Just return the dress." "I don't think your demand is reasonable, Janet. I'm sorry, but I won't be returning the dress. I love it already, so it's not going anywhere. You will just have to deal with not being in the limelight for one day." Janet and I exchanged a few more heated words, and she kept demanding that I return the dress. She even threatened me when I said that it won't be happening. It was honestly a very nerve-wracking experience. I went home and told Zyla, who was really miffed at Janet's behavior. We were both getting tired of her antics and didn't know what to do. Then disaster struck in one of the worst ways possible. It was just 2 months before my wedding when I went home from work to discover that my wedding dress was in tatters. It was evident that someone had taken the time and effort to grab a pair of scissors and hack through it. The moment I saw the dress, I started to bawl. I was a crying mess while Zyla did his best to comfort me. The stress of planning the wedding and this final blow with the dress made me break down. I immediately knew who could have done it and told Zyla that I suspected Janet. However, Zyla didn't want to believe that his mom could be so cruel. But in my heart, I knew it was her. We went on arguing with no end in sight. However, just when I thought that the mystery would never be solved, the doorbell rang. When Zilla went to get the door, I was trying hard to collect myself. I went out and saw that Haley was there. The moment she looked at my tear-stained face, she started to cry. Now, that was super weird to us. We calmed her down a bit and were wondering what was going on. Finally, after a while, Haley said, "I'm so sorry, Leah. I'm very sorry for what happened to you." "Wait, do you know what happened? Someone cut up your dress, right?" "I know about this, Lee. I swear I don't have anything to do with this, but I know who did it." "Seriously, Haley, you know who did this? Tell us right now. We need to know. This is unacceptable." "I know this is unacceptable, guys. That's why I'm here to tell you the truth. I came as soon as I could. It was Mom who destroyed the dress. I knew that my doubts were true. I knew Janet was the only one insane enough to do this. Besides, she was one of the few people who had a key to our house, so she was my #1 suspect. Hearing that I was right made my blood boil. Meanwhile, Zilla still had a hard time wrapping his head around this. He said, "Mom did this? I can't believe this, Haley. How did she find out?" "She texted me to boast about her work. She even sent me pictures. I'm so ashamed that I advocated for her right now. I know I will never get married, so I wanted Mom to have a good experience here, but I didn't expect her to be so cruel. I'm so sorry, Lee." "It's okay, Haley. I know why you took your mom's side. I don't blame you for this, Haley. Thank you for telling us. However, I think Janet needs to face some consequences for this. Leave that to me, Leah. If Mom has truly done this, she will pay for it. I won't let her go. Have some faith in me." Haley showed us the text that Janet had sent her. It clearly showed that she was the one who did this. I was raging mad, but also super sad about what happened. I was mad at Janet, but also worried about how I was going to buy a wedding dress. We had very limited funds, so there wasn't much money left for these expenses. Zyla didn't have much either, since he was also saving for his mom's retirement fund. That woman works a minimum wage job and wouldn't be able to retire if someone didn't make a fund for her. Zyla was doing that for her, so he was low on spare money as well. It was a mess. I cried myself to sleep that night. The next morning, Zyla and I raced to Janet's house to confront her, and when she opened the door, she tried to act all clueless and ignorant. She faked a surprised look and said, "Hey, guy, what brings you here? You didn't even call. Is it something important?" "We know that you cut up my wedding dress, Janet. What is this nonsense? Zyla, look at what your fiancée is saying. This is ridiculous. She's blaming me for something I didn't do." "We have ample proof that you did it, Janet. Why don't you cut the lies and give us the truth? Just accept what you did." "How dare you accuse me of something like this, Leah? I'm sure this is all your plan to humiliate me and distance me from my son. I bet you intentionally cut up your own wedding dress just to blame me for it. We all know that you wanted me to get a cheap dress, and you also said that you didn't want me to outshine you at my own wedding. I am not accusing you for nothing, Leah. Besides, I said I have proof. I can't believe you're still trying to make me out to be the bad guy, Zyla. Are you going to stand there and allow your fiancé to humiliate me?" Janet was doing her best to appear clueless about my accusations. In fact, she was working hard to show her confidence. But small details like her unsteady eyes gave away the fact that she was a little nervous. I mean, we all knew that I was speaking the truth, even if Janet was trying to say that I was making false accusations. She knew that they were true. She was also a little curious to know what kind of proof I had, but she couldn't say those words because she was scared. When she saw that I looked more confident than her, she tried to make Zyla take her side, thinking that he didn't know anything. However, Zyla looked coldly at her and said, "What do you want me to do, Mom? You want me to scold my fiancé for saying what is true? Sila, don't tell me you believe her as well. You have to see that she is lying to you. All her accusations are baseless. I didn't do anything. Sila, you have to see that she's poisoning you against me. Seriously, Mom, you are still going to deny what you did? Not only that, but also you were trying to turn this against my wife. I don't even know what to say. Mom, we know you destroyed Lee's wedding dress. We saw the text you sent to Haley. Now, when Zila sent those words, Janet went pale. She had her eyes bulge out of her sockets. She looked like she had seen a ghost. I guess Janet had really not expected Haley to betray her trust. Haley was a supportive daughter to her throughout all this time. Although she didn't support Janet's extremes, she did advocate for her when Zila and I put restrictions on her. So Janet had assumed that Haley would side with her no matter what she did. Turns out Haley is a good girl who simply loves her mom and doesn't want to see her dad. However, she had her own morals and ethics which stopped her from supporting her mother's evil schemes. I was very happy Haley decided to do the right thing and tell us. But judging Janet's expression, she was less than pleased and had a hard time believing her own daughter would betray her. She said, "What? What, Haley? She told you everything?" "Yes, she told us everything, Janet. In fact, she even showed us all the texts, including your selfie with my torn-up wedding dress and scissors in hand. Don't even bother lying anymore, Mom. Now you know that we have solid proof that you did it. We already know why, but I want to hear it from you, Mom. Why would you do this?" Janet was now looking down and wringing her hands. She didn't have the courage to face her son after her real face had been revealed. It's not like we thought she was the greatest woman ever, but none of us had actually expected her to go this far. It was just plain ridiculous. I thought stuff like this only existed in telenovelas. Now that it happened to me in real life, I stand corrected about what people can do when they put their minds to it. I was pretty furious that Janet had destroyed the dress that I had saved up to buy. But her nonchalance and audacity pissed me off even further. Instead of showing remorse, she doubled down and said, "Well, what do you expect me to say, Zila? You already know why I did it. I had warned Leah against wearing that wedding dress. She never listened to me. Did you really expect me to listen to you for something so stupid? It is my wedding, and I should be the one outshining everyone. You had no business trying to steal the limelight from me. It was an inappropriate request. I don't care if it's inappropriate. I am the mother of the groom, and this is my chance to shine too. My daughter never got married and doesn't plan to ever, so this was my only chance to shine. Your words never made sense before, and it's not doing that now either. If you want to feel special, you can have your own event, but you don't get to tell me what I can wear to my own wedding. That was my dream wedding dress." I was on the verge of tears again. It was all starting to hit me again. My dream dress was ruined all because of my soon-to-be mother-in-law. All this because she didn't want anyone to have more attention than her. So she destroyed my wedding dress. I still had a hard time accepting this and coming up with a solution for my problems. I no longer had a wedding dress, and my wedding was in 2 months. I was almost out of money as well. I was going mad with worry and hurt, but to Janet, it was all a joke. She started to laugh at me and said, "Who cares, Lee? I got what I wanted, didn't I? Now you can no longer wear that big poofy dress to the wedding. My dress will easily outshine yours. It's not like you can get a better dress right now unless you shell out more money that you definitely don't have." You find this funny, Janet? I saved up my money to buy that dress. I had lost thousands of dollars. It's 2 months from my wedding. I don't have any time or money to get a new dress. I will never forgive you for this, Janet. We could have just avoided all of this if you had listened to me and returned the dress. That way you wouldn't have lost the money, and there would be a dress for you to wear. What a shame, Lee. Guess you will have to go to Goodwill shopping now. Yes, Janet had the audacity to say this to my face. It was all fun and games for her. She didn't show any remorse and didn't have an ounce of regret. Instead, she was having the time of her life thinking about how she would gleefully outshine me in her dress. I stood there in shock while tears fell down my cheeks. I was already starting to dread the wedding. Almost all the happiness was gone at that point. I was almost convinced that my wedding would be a disaster, filled with bad memories instead of good ones. Also, my future looked bleak with an evil mother-in-law like Janet. But turns out I didn't have to worry about all those things at all. Zyla, my dear fiancé, is not a spineless mama's boy. Yes, he loves his mom a lot, just like his sister, but he and his sister share another good quality. They both have their own morals and ethics that they follow. And Zyla wasn't happy with what his mom had done. He was silent while Janet made fun of me and laughed at me, but one look at him told me that he was controlling himself from yelling at his mother. He was a gentleman after all. So instead of telling her and throwing a tantrum, he was waiting for the right chance to hit her with his words. He said in a deep voice, "What makes you think you will still come to the wedding?" "What? What are you talking about, Zyla?" "I think you heard me clear enough, Mom. What makes you think I will allow you to come to the wedding after this?" Janet was rendered speechless. I looked at Zyla in wonder. It made me so happy that he was standing up for me. He didn't even hesitate when he hinted that he won't allow Janet to come to the wedding. I didn't know what his endgame was, but it did feel good to see Janet squirm. She stammered and said, "What? What are you saying, Zyla? Of course, I'll come to the wedding. I'm your mother, and I need to be there to see my son get married. You should have thought about that before you ruthlessly destroyed my fiancé's wedding dress. Now that you have shown me what you are capable of, I don't want you at my wedding." But this is unfair, Zyla. I know you are a little angry with me, but you know how excited I am for your wedding." "Exactly, Mom. It is my wedding, and it is Leah's wedding as well. I never appreciated the way you tried to make this all about yourself. I have stopped myself from uninviting you because Haley always asked me to forgive you. But this time, you have crossed all your limits. I'm uninviting you from my wedding right now. Don't bother showing up, or you will be escorted out." Janet looked like she had been slapped. She hadn't even imagined the possibility of Zyla thinking about uninviting her that 2 multiple times. It was true that we had often thought about it, but it looked like my fiancé was finally going with that decision. He was being my hero and absolutely destroying Janet's dream, just like she had mine. The tables had turned, and now I was the gleeful one while Janet was starting to tear up. She said in a shaky voice, "Are you really going to uninvite me over a dress, Zyla? You will abandon your own mother for a dress." "Oh, believe me, Mom, it's not about the dress. It is about the disrespect you have shown my wife, despite several warnings on our end. What you did was not okay. Seriously, Zyla, I did your stupid fiancée a favor. She should have never bought such an expensive dress. I had warned her. I won't tolerate her outshining me. She didn't need such an expensive dress anyway. Good that I got rid of it." "Oh, that isn't an issue for us at all, Mom. Mark my words when I say this, Mom. I will be buying my fiancée a more expensive wedding dress. It will be so grand that you will never outshine her in your lifetime. Not that you will actually be at the wedding anyway." I was in awe of what my fiancé said. He literally told his mother that he was going to buy me a wedding dress. I didn't care that he said that it would be more expensive. I was just so happy that he was willing to buy me a dress knowing I couldn't afford one anymore. I had tears in my eyes because of his generosity and said, "Really, Zyla, will you really help me buy a dress?" "Yes, Leah. I'm sorry for giving Mom so many chances in the past. I never should have let her escalate her behavior. But I promise I won't let her do this again. But I don't even know how to get a dress on such short notice." "Leave that to me, Leah. You have worried about things enough. You don't need to worry about this. I called your favorite bridal boutique in the next city. They can squeeze you in. And guess what? They have your actual dream dress that was way over your budget. It's also in your size and probably needs minimal alterations." "Oh my God, did you really go through all that trouble?" "Thank you so much, Tyler. But that dress is super expensive. It's almost twice my budget." "That is not a problem either, Lee. I can easily afford that dress since I won't be saving for Mom's retirement anymore. Whatever money I have saved would be spent on your dress and our honeymoon. And maybe we will even hire security to make sure Mom doesn't show up and ruin anything else. I have to give props to my fiancé for being so prepared. He didn't even tell me his plans before we came to Janet's house. I guess he was up all night making plans and made those phone calls to the boutique when I was prepping breakfast. He did everything in record time and really impressed me. I was so proud of him. He was taking some intense measures to put Janet in her place, and I wasn't about to stop him. However, Janet threw a major fit when Zilla revealed his plans. She screamed and cried, saying, "You can't do this, Styla. You can't take away my retirement savings from me." Correction, then mother. "It's not your savings. It was something I had started out of generosity. I was trying to take care of you, but you decided to blow your chance by being petty and evil. How can you call your own mother evil? And how can you take away the retirement fund? You know, I can never afford it on my own." "I'm aware of that, Mom. Looks like you'll be working till you die. That is none of my concern anymore. In fact, I think my soon-to-be wife will be going no contact with you for now." Janet absolutely blew her lid when Zilla said that. She hadn't expected to be punished for her actions. Actually, she didn't think she would get caught. However, her own daughter and son did the unthinkable and proved her wrong. I didn't even have to do anything. I was mad and wouldn't have let it slide, but my knights in shining armor already took care of it for me. I was so happy to see Janet have an absolute meltdown over what Zilla said. She screamed at us and kept telling him how he was being unfair, and that I was a witch who was turning him away from his family. It was a whole show. Zilla and I left Janet's house in the midst of her breakdown. Then Zilla immediately called the bridal boutique to make reservations for me. I tried telling him that we could still buy a cheaper dress, but he was adamant about getting me the dress. In fact, he said that his sister was buying me the veil since Janet had destroyed it as well. I was so happy to hear this and couldn't hold back my tears. I did tell Zilla that he can still continue contact with Janet if he wants, but he didn't want that either. I was really happy that he uninvited her from the wedding, so I didn't comment about it. As the wedding grew closer, Janet was starting to freak out. She hadn't expected Zilla to make his words come true. She was uninvited and blocked from everywhere. Even Haley had blocked her too. The rest of the family heard about what she did and shamed her to no extent. After a while, she realized that no one was in her corner, so she showed up to our house to beg for forgiveness. She kept saying sorry and how she regretted her decisions. We had none of it and shut the door to her face. I won't lie, but it did feel nice seeing her growling on the day of the wedding. Janet did show up in her sparkly dress, hoping that she would be let in. However, Zyla kept his word about hiring security and did just that. The security kicked her out effectively, and we didn't hear about it until the reception ended. As I write this down, I have been married for a whole year. In this entire year, We never contacted Janet or let her contact us. Zyla is no longer interested now that he knows how drama-free our life is without his mom in it. So we are going to continue that and have peace in our lives.